Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an interesting introduction to this week of the show. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me, as always, is Drew Celestino. And normally we kind of fire on into the show, setting the tone, making some jokes, laughing. It just... with the events this past weekend in Charlottesville and everything that's transpired and come to light since then, it just didn't seem appropriate to start the show in our normal fashion. It didn't seem respectful, for lack of a better term. We're going to get there. Don't worry. This show is ultimately entertainment, and we enjoy what we talk about. We enjoy making each other laugh and hopefully making you guys laugh. We appreciate you coming back to us every week. Typically, I'm not a person who makes political statements on like Facebook or Twitter or the internet in that regard. I think it's just kind of shouting in the static for the most part. But I felt very convicted that if I have a microphone in front of me to say something with everything that's happened, it would be disrespectful to many to not address what went on in this country this past weekend, and it just in a lot of ways feels like it's a boiling point of what's been happening over the past year or so, and just like systematic of so many things that while I feel deep down we are a great country, we do still have many problems that we like to ignore on a daily basis. And sometimes, I mean, those problems aren't going to be ignored. And we had what we had happen. Obviously, I'm sure all of you know what happened this past weekend. I don't want to mince words. This past weekend was not about freedom of speech. In my opinion, this past weekend was about hatred and bigotry and racism and just the absolute ugliness of human beings. And it's tough. It's tough to see things that what people refer to as the greatest generation, and I agree with that, fought and died for to defeat. And in many ways did defeat, but it's tough to see a lot of that still alive and well today and thriving. Great thing about the internet and social media is that everybody has a voice. The bad thing about the internet and social media is that everybody has a voice. But to kind of bring it back to the show, to quote the first issue of Avengers, and there was a day like any other when heroes came united against a common enemy. And there were definitely heroes there that day, not heroes in the way we think of them traditionally, but there were people who decided to stand on a line and say, what you're doing is wrong, and I'm here to oppose you. Now, you can argue, you can debate, you can shout to the heavens about methods and how different things were done, but ultimately there were people there to stop the march of hatred, and they are heroes. And it's in that spirit that I want to dedicate this show, this episode, to the memory of Heather Heyer, who just saw something bad happening and decided to do something about it. And I a lot of times I wish I had that kind of courage. But she went down there, and then some racist piece of slime gets behind a wheel and decides to mow a bunch of people down. And unfortunately, Heather lost her life. The halls of heroes are far too filled with martyrs, and Heather didn't need to be added to that number. But she is, and we're dedicating this show to her. I promise you, folks, we're going to get to the laughs. Don't worry. But we just wanted to take a moment and address what happened. Again, we didn't feel that it was appropriate to start the show the way we normally do. So that's what I've got to say about it. Drew, is there anything you want to add?
Quite a bit, but I don't want to boil over. I'm glad you decided that we should do this. I totally agree, and I totally echo everything that you just said, and it's been bothering me for the duration of the weekend. This has been kind of building up, and it's not just the fact that we're living in America in 2017 and we have Nazis marching around.
Yeah.
If that's not horrific enough,
can we at least get together that on the idea that Nazis are bad?
I think we established that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we definitely established that. We fought this whole war about it and everything too,
yeah.
And so that's grotesque enough. And then that they're given a platform, freedom of speech. Hey, I get it.
Yeah, it cuts
that's
both
fine.
ways.
Cuts both ways, but they have a platform, and then violence breaks out because, of course, it does, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got in 2017, white people beating black people with sticks, trying to kill them. And then someone driving a car into a mob of people and killing someone over it. People standing against Nazis. In 2017, in America, I'm disgusted, I'm outraged, and then that kind of just compounds the fact. And you know what? We don't dip our toes too deeply into either side of the pool on this show. I mean, I know where we stand, and I'm pretty sure our listeners kind of know where we stand too, but I'm just going to... I don't care anymore, man. Our president's a disgrace. I'm disgusted. He's a disgrace, and if you support him, you're a disgrace. I don't care if I lose listeners saying that. That statement he gave was a crock. Total joke. And the only reason he said it is because the only people he has left backing him with his dwindling support are those racist scumbags that put him in office. He knew exactly what he was saying and exactly what he wasn't saying. And then 2 days go by, and he reads off a piece of paper with zero emotion.
Yep.
Finally, he says the words, "I denounce neo-Nazis and the KKK," and yada, yada. But then today, because that lame statement wasn't bad enough, today he gives a press conference and tries to lay blame on both sides. Again, he doubles down because this guy's ego is so infantile, he can't possibly be wrong. So he's going to double down on his words. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. We've got horrific hate groups in this country that are now being backed by the President of the United States, essentially. They're emboldened by him. It's gross, and I'm sickened by it. And I've been really pent up today over this, to be honest with you, and it's just been building and building and building. My tension level... did you ever see The Burbs?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks?
Of course.
Great, the great scene when they're all in the Klopek's house.
Klopek?
Is that Slavic? No. About a 9 on the tension scale there, Rube. That's me right now. I'm about a 9 on the tension scale today. So
I love Bruce Dern.
Yeah. I'm mad, and in the words of Heather, if you're not outraged, you're not looking. You're not awake. You're not trying. I'm paraphrasing. I got that quote wrong, and I apologize. But that was her last thing she posted on social media. If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention, and that's look where we are.
Yeah.
You better get outraged, because this is where we are now, and it's just really sickening. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm out of words, dude. I'm really, really affected, and it's making me.
I think just the best way to summarize is nothing good has ever come from hate. Nothing
No.
good has ever come from hating another person because of their color of their skin or their ethnic background. Nothing good has ever come from not helping each other. I mean, I'm going to say something here, and some of you might snicker and everything, but it's, I mean, yes, it is technically a quote, but I'm not using it as a quote. But seriously, people, just be excellent to each other. I mean, it's not enough just to be good to each other anymore. Just help one another. Lift each other up. If you see someone who needs help, help them. Just be common civilness to each other. It
doesn't take much.
Just, I mean,
hold the door for somebody.
We're all frustrated. We're all
simple
upset.
Stuff.
I mean, if you're not frustrated, if you're not upset, then, and if you're happy about the events this past weekend, then you're on the wrong side. I'm sorry. There are moral absolutes. And the moral absolute here is that Nazis are bad.
Yeah, pretty sure.
And it's
if Indiana Jones hates them, they're bad.
Exactly. So just...
Not to make light, but...
Yeah.
I have to somehow.
We do, because we gotta get back to what we're here to do. But just help out one another, love each other. We can be better. We have to be better.
Yes, we do. And again, it doesn't take much. Hold the door for somebody. Help somebody with I don't care what it is, just little things. Invite someone over. I don't know. Just anything. Say hello on the street, for God's sake.
Talk
to somebody.
Please, just talk.
Communicate. Put your phone down for a nanosecond and just acknowledge the person sitting across from you or whatever. Just
accept the possibility that you may be wrong about something.
Yeah.
And that new information can change your mind. And don't be offended if someone presents an idea to you that you don't like. Just talk to them about it. There's no reason to hate them. You don't have to agree with them. You can have a civil discussion about it and part friends.
Unless they're a Nazi, in which case, run away. Well, no. You know what? No, don't run away. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. I'm not saying you got to confront them physically, but ideologically, just you can stand there and know that you are correct.
Are we encouraging what we saw? Stand on the line.
Violence isn't the answer.
Violence is not the answer. So yeah.
All I can say is, my last word on this is like, I really truly hope this is just the last gasp of a small dying generation. I really hope that's the case, and I hope that younger people growing up in the world that we've been growing up in, they're looking at this and just going, "What a joke!" And we don't believe that. I really hope that's the case, and part of me believes it is. Knowing certain young people, having young family members, I hope. At the same time, the events of the weekend have kind of shown me, like, well, you know what? It might not be as dying as you think it is, and that gives me pause. So, be excellent to each other. Take care of each other. And if you see hatred and vile oppression, stand your ground and say no, because that's the least you can do.
Be subject to one another, serve one another, because that's how we grow. That's how we get better. All right, so that being said, Heather, this one is for you. All right, let's get to our opening statement. Sir,
yes.
Everything we just discussed aside, How was your week?
Well, aside from that, it's been okay. Some good stuff going on right now. Boy, oh boy. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Oh, by the way, we had that whole threat of possible nuclear confrontation happening.
Oh, they backed down.
Yeah, well, we knew that was going to happen, but at least they did, because I'm not so sure that Dunce Trump would have.
They're adorable.
Yeah, so are we. God. Anyway, so we had game night yet again.
Yes, game night.
New game.
New game.
Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars. What'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. Took a long time.
Yeah.
First time.
Yes. Key things were left out in the initial, which is common whenever you play a new game.
It happens.
But
Once
I
we
was
got
left with a whole pile of heat at the end of the game.
Rule omission. Well, unclear rules were not made clear.
Yeah.
But and that night I had no strategy when we first started. It was
it's just
so if we played it again, whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I like it. I think we could definitely cut the play time down now that we all kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, well, even with cutting the play down, it's probably about an hour and a half, 2 hour game.
It's on the box. It says it's a 90-minute to a 2 hour game. Oh, and it totally is.
I liked it. I had two minor quibbles with it.
Okay.
The first one is I would have liked a little more player interaction.
You like the wheel and deal.
It's not
wood for sheep, man.
No, it's not so much that. Just yes, maybe some of that, but like on some more level, because as much as I was enjoying it, there was kind of like a window of time where it just got to a point where I'm just kind of shifting cubes around. It got a little boring.
Well, yeah, you build your engine and then you got to kind of manage it, and that is really the crux of the game.
Yeah.
There were cards that did see. I think what helped.
That was my second.
There were cards that did have screw other player attributes to them.
But there weren't a ton of them.
Not a ton of them, yeah. A couple more would have been more fun.
Yeah. But my second minor quibble about the game is that the game itself is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Except for the cards. And that's the thing you're looking at the most. It's not that the cards are bad looking. It's just that they don't line up with the aesthetic of the rest of the game.
No, I guess not.
And on the cards, it's like, make up your mind. Do you want to use badly drawn hand art, or do you want to use clip art off the internet? Because you're using both.
Yeah.
Pick one, go with it. You spent all this money to make this great board and these other great components. Why did you skimp on the thing that we're going to be using the most?
Well,
but yeah, other than that, it was good. Fun game.
I did overall enjoy it, though. Saturday was interesting. We are trying out a new drummer in the Long Cold Dark. Huey's going berserk out there, by the way. And it's a familiar face for us. It's someone that Jason and I go way back with.
Okay.
And it was...
No worries. Go way back, Lando and me.
That's right. It's good, man. It was really good. And I'm really hopeful that it works, because it just has a good feel. Like, this is how it should be.
I feel right, Brian.
Yeah.
I feel right.
Kind of like that. So yeah, that was really good. I definitely that was a bright spot to my Saturday. I was left with some really positive vibes out of that. And then watched 2 episodes of Mystery Science Theater.
Nice.
Back to back, which was fantastic. So the new season is great, as you know, I've already gone on record. I haven't finished it yet, obviously, because I'm taking my time and just kind of. I usually watch it with Jason. He comes over and we hang out and watch Mystery Science Theater. So, yeah, I'm still enjoying the hell out of the show, and I'm just chomping at the bit for the next season announcement. Hopefully that happens. I can't imagine it wouldn't. They're on the live tour right now. I wish it was coming to Buffalo, but alas, it's not.
Anywhere close to Buffalo?
No.
All right.
And I didn't. I can't just on a whim go to New York City for the Mystery Science Theater live tour like I could for the Nine Inch Nails. I could.
I was about to say yes, you can. You already have,
but it's not quite as epic as getting a Nine Inch Nails ticket for a hidden show that was never announced and yada yada. So anyway, yeah, that was Saturday. Sunday. Also, it was also a wrestling filled weekend. So I'll keep it brief as I can anyway. So the G1 Climax tournament has been going on. And Saturday morning, Friday and Saturday were the block finals. Okay. So the G1 has A block and B block, eight guys per block.
Yeah.
So it's a point system. You get, X amount of points for a win, X amount of points for a loss, yada, yada. So the finals were this weekend, leading into the final on Sunday. So, I knew that Naito won the A block final, or whichever block he was in. Naito won his block. I did not get a chance to watch his match with Tanahashi in his block final, but I did know Saturday morning I was going to wake up, and I knew because in Japan, this happens at like 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for us. So I knew if I woke up Saturday morning, it was already Saturday night. The event had already gone by in Japan, and I knew Kenny Omega was taking on Okada in his block final. And Okada was 6-1-1 in the block. Kenny was 6-2 in the block. Kenny had to win to advance. So Saturday morning, I'm watching Kenny versus Okada 3. 30-minute time limit in the G1 matches. Yeah. Okay, I'm a 35-year-old man. I am yelling at my screen like a child, jumping out of my chair at moments in this match. As good as their previous two matches, these guys are having the year. I don't know that any wrestlers on the planet ever have had this kind of stretch of just mind-blowing performances. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's Steamboat Flair level, probably higher, just due to the athleticism.
So
and the stakes.
Was this match kind of the final nail in the coffin of you watching WWE?
Basically. Kenny won, by the way.
Woo!
Jumped out of my chair. Kenny made the G1 final. Kenny Omega versus Naito for the G1 Climax final. The winner of the final gets a title shot at Wrestle Kingdom in January.
So it would be possibly Omega Okada 4.
Well, we have a long way to go, and despite an absolutely amazing match on Sunday against Naito, Kenny did not win. Naito is going to the final, or to the Dome.
No love for the Gaijin.
Oh, Kenny gets love. Let's not forget, Kenny is still the United States champion. He is still basically the face that they are using for the international expansion of the whole company.
Yeah.
And let's not also forget that Kenny beat Okada in the G1 block, which basically informally guarantees him a shot at Okada whatever he wants. It's a respect thing.
Yeah.
If you beat the champ, you get to call him out for a title shot at when you want. Kenny might, for all we know, walk into the Dome champion. It could happen. There are a couple events between now and the Dome, so Kenny Omega could very well be champ by the time he has to face Naito at the Dome. We don't know. We'll see. But it was awesome. It was totally awesome. And Shibata came back.
Okay.
Remember the match with the guy who does the headbutts?
Sure.
And we said he should really stop doing that.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what happened to Shibata?
Bad. Head trauma?
He had a match against Okada.
Okay.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. In the match, he headbutted Okada, because of course he did. Busted himself open.
Yep.
Bleeding, because that's what headbutts will do to you. After the match, he goes to the back. As soon as he gets to the back, he immediately collapses.
Oh.
He had a subdural hematoma. He was paralyzed on half of his body.
Oh.
He was partially blinded. He's in bad shape. This was a couple months ago. He was in bad shape. Reports have been, his recovery steady, but it's coming from Japan, so it's kind of you're relying on a lot of mixed reports. No one knew what was going to happen. The Young Bucks lost the junior tag belts. Sad Panda. As soon as everyone clears the ring, Shibata's music plays. Japanese crowds are typically very reserved.
Yeah.
This place went berserk. Lost their minds. When Shibata comes out, he looks like 60 pounds lighter, by the way. He lost a lot of weight because he hasn't...
recovery.
Yeah. Shibata comes out. Women in the crowd are crying. Men are crying. Going nuts for him to come in. Yeah. He gets in the ring. He's crying. He takes a flat back bump in the middle of the ring just because. And then he sits down in his pose in the middle of the ring and he just puts his hands over his face, and it was insane. The crowd went berserk.
I assume he's retiring.
That's where it gets a little murky because he grabs the mic. He said two very quick things, and then he left, and to the crowd that was still going nuts. Translation, I guess, was, "I'm still alive. That is all." And then he threw the mic down and left. I don't know what that means, but this guy's nuts enough to probably try and come back. But if he thinks he can, that's his prerogative, and as long as he never does a headbutt ever again, I'm okay. I might prefer he doesn't, but either way, I've never ever seen a Japanese crowd go that ape. It was crazy. Crazy.
Are the managers and promoters of New Japan as scrupulous and soulless as Vince McMahon?
Wrestling promotions everywhere are pretty soulless. But
like, would they let him?
They probably would. They probably would let him come back. If he thought he could do it, they'd probably let him come back. Again, as long as I never see him headbutt anyone ever again, and he thinks he can handle it, then that's on him. I'm not going to tell a guy not to do what he thinks he can do. But never headbutt anyone ever again, please. Please, no, please, ever. Thank you, Shibata. I'm glad to see you, pal. Don't headbutt anything anymore. Anyway, that was basically it. That brings us to here. Yeah, Raw was last night. I don't care. SummerSlam is Sunday, and I couldn't be bothered. So yeah, hi. That's the week. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
It was a good weekend, like you mentioned. Game night Friday night. Saturday.
X-Wing. Any X-Wing happenings?
X-Wing was Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday night is usually X-Wing night.
How'd you fare?
How'd I do? I lost both games I played in. I was trying out new stuff.
Okay.
And I learned. I finally found a weakness in my Wookiee build, which is...
Did you bend the Wookiee?
No, I did not. Bend my Wookiee. No, I was going up against a 5-ship build.
Oh, okay.
With my 2 ships.
That sounds like a bad idea.
And it came down to 1 ship.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, that's
so
impressive.
I got caught in a traffic jam and lost a lot of my actions, so that kind of... But I'm confident had I not been lost actions for about 3 turns in a row, I probably would have been able to pull it out.
That's impressive.
It's a 5-ship build.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Typically with 5 ships, you've got some fairly fragile ships in there, which was the case. There were a couple ships that just like one shot took out. So, tournament this Saturday.
All right. Good luck.
So, see how that goes. Then this past Saturday, start out the day with my friend Jim, his daughter, whose legal name is Rhea, Reyya. I just call her Ray.
I think he will too.
He does too. Yeah.
If I know him I think I do.
I looked at Jim's wife, Carrie. I'm like, you realize I'm never going to call her Rhea, don't you?
Yeah.
She's Ray.
Yeah.
It was her first birthday, so fun time there. And then Saturday night, I had... This still hurts to say.
Uh-oh.
I had my 20th high school reunion.
Yes, you were telling me on Friday.
At Resurgence Brewing.
Yeah. Did they truck in food for that?
Yeah.
What'd they bring in?
It was decent.
Did they say who it was that catered it or no?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause they don't cook there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was good.
Good.
It was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed high school. I went to Cardinal O'Hara. Go Hawks.
I was a Canisius boy.
I know.
Go Crusaders.
Yeah, but see, when I say it, I actually mean it.
This might shock you, but I'm okay with
school pride.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like Al Bundy and I don't cling to high school glory like some people.
In high school.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But I look back, it was hard, and I have a lot of things to say about the demographics of people that I was in school with.
Yeah.
But having said that, my teachers were great. The education was great, and I definitely don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was hard when I was there, but looking back, it was a good thing.
O'Hara was the same way. Small school. There were 78 in my graduating class.
Yeah, about 100 in mine, if that.
So small town mentality. Everyone kind of knew everyone.
Sure.
It was good to see a lot of people again. It's fascinating to see where, what direction lives are taking and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, just hang out with some people. Like, I got one friend who is in Seattle now working for Amazon. We were discussing the cost of living in Seattle.
Pretty high, I bet.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time. I had a couple beers.
Good.
The one I can't remember. I had 3 beers. The first one I had, I can't remember.
So I guess
which is funny because usually it happens. Not remembering happens later. In the
it
night.
Must not have been memorable.
The other 2 I had, I stuck with their Cosmic Truth.
I have heard of the Cosmic Truth. I don't know that
I liked it. It was good. I'm in no way able to judge beers in the same way you are.
Were the beers gratis, by the way? Would they just serve them?
It came with the ticket.
Oh, drink tickets essentially?
We had 2 hours of open bar.
Do they have the full tap selection?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
That's nice.
So I was just looking at them like, Cosmic Truth's a cool name. I'll take that.
Should have texted me. I could have given you the breakdown.
I just wanted a beer. I didn't want a lecture.
Well, I could help. Yeah. Good.
So that was a lot of fun. It's a good time. Good seeing people again. Sunday was just kind of a chill day. Yeah. And then Monday, what did I do Monday? We went out. Oh, so you've been to my house. You've been to my,
I have.
You've been to my bathroom a couple times. A monstrosity of a shelf I have right above the.
You need storage.
I'm looking to replace that.
Okay.
I'm looking to get like a cabinet that
like
mounts above the toilet in that space and just kind of get rid of that thing because it's such an eyesore.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to keep clean.
Sure. It's a bathroom.
So, yeah. So I'm actually going to use that as a game shelf.
Oh, okay.
For, when we get that. But,
spray it down first.
Well, obviously. So, yeah, went out browsing. Found one I liked.
Good.
Like $60. Didn't grab it yet 'cause we got a couple other places we want to check. But, yeah. That was that.
Good deal.
And today was today. And then tomorrow night, Guns N' Roses.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Good friend Brian is taking me down to Paradise City, so to speak.
Well,
that probably sounded weird.
Enjoy the grass and keep your eyes off the girls because you're taking
there's only one pretty girl I got.
There you go. That's right. Good answer.
Yes. All right. That's our opening statements, folks. If you want to tell us about your week, if you want to share some thoughts about what we talked about at the beginning of the show, we're here to listen to you. If you want to send in some questions to us, I would be more than happy to read them on the show. You can find us at the following locations. On Twitter, you can find us at Devils Do Pod. You can go to Facebook.com/Devils Do Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all this information on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. That being said, Drew, we have a question submission.
All right.
From a Mr. J. Gelsomino. And before we get to Jay's questions, we just want to pause, and Drew and I both want to offer our most heartfelt condolences to the Gelsomino family.
Yeah.
They lost one of their 4-legged family members this past week. If you know anything about Drew and myself, if you have ears and listen to the show, you know we're dog people because dogs have kind of become characters on the show as it is. JoJo's down there in the corner, just chill AF. So yeah, our Gelsominos, you're in our thoughts. We love you guys, and we hope the new dog.
Well, I was going to say there's as sad as it is to see Allie go. Slight silver lining. The wife did help them in procuring a new puppy named Brody. So
yes. Jay is the biggest Jaws fan in the world, and he told me a dog's name. I was like, "You didn't name it Hoagie?" He's like, "I couldn't."
He also tried for Shinsuke, Omega, Okada, and I believe he also tried Naito, but it wasn't yeah, he wasn't going to get any of those. So Brody's good. It's got Jaws cred. It's got Mallrats cred. So it's okay.
I think
he's
as
adorable.
Much as I love Mallrats, the Jaws cred supersedes.
Fair enough. He is adorable, by the way.
Yeah,
we became really good friends on Sunday.
Yeah,
me and Brody are buds.
Yeah.
Anyway,
good times. All right, so Jay sent in some questions.
Okay.
I mean, obviously with the loss, sometimes you kind of go to a dark place, and maybe that's where Jay was when he wrote this first question.
Okay.
Carl and Drew.
Hi.
You are in the unenviable position of being in a human centipede.
Oh, God, okay.
You've unfortunately drawn the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Who's your front and who's your back from the worlds of comic book literature?
Wow.
There's...
Can we just not broach this one?
You want to just kind of punt?
I don't advocate punting, but in this case,
yeah,
we're going to go ahead and punt.
Jay, I think just show's family friendly. Folks, if you don't know what a human centipede is, don't look it up.
Now they're going to.
Yeah, I know. Kids, don't look it up.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we're gonna take a flyer on this one.
I'm going to assume he wrote that in some dark moments. Go Pet Brody. Come back with another question.
Yeah. Drew.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 6.25 stars.
Yeah. Okay.
How hard have you G1 climaxed this year with New Japan? At what point do you think you get the E out?
I see what he did there on so many levels. Now, Jay watched every match of the G1, basically. He's a lunatic. That's a lot of matches. It's a month-long tournament, okay?
Yeah.
So if that is the bar, 6.25 stars, Jay is at the bar. So I'm at a 3 because I only watched a few matches. But my enjoyment of those matches certainly is in the 6.25 star range. But again, I can't possibly claim that because I didn't watch nearly enough. But as with anything New Japan, every time I watch it, I just find my care and interest in WWE fading away. It's like, oh yeah, it's cute. They think they have a wrestling show. It's just not even. It's not even fair. It's just not even fair. And WWE fans, they're like, if I could equate it to comics fans, honestly, like, they are the Marvel zombies or the DC kids, or pick your side.
Not all of them.
Pick your side, though. They're the ones with their fingers in their ears where it's la 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 la. No, it can't possibly be good. It's from that other company, like sight unseen. But then when talent comes over, like a writer, let's say a writer's doing a bang up job on a book over there. And they come over. When they come over, they're like, "Oh, well, he had a great run over at this book over at DC, so he's got credibility." Did you read it? Well, no. Well, they love.
I understand what you're saying, and I definitely think there's something to that. But I've got the puzzled look on my face because one can argue that you're kind of like that with DC Comics.
What's at the top of my pile right now?
Oh, you found a copy.
DC copy right there. The Mr. Miracle #1. Yeah. It's really good.
And when was the last DC book you bought?
I'd have to think about it.
There we go.
I do read Future Quest every issue, though, because I like the Hanna-Barbera stuff and Space Ghost and whatnot. I do like DC stuff on occasion when it's good. I just don't generally go to it as my go-to. To be fair, I don't go to Marvel anymore either as my go-to. So
no, I know. But you did read Mr. Miracle?
Yes,
it is good.
It is good. I'm curious to see where it's going.
A copy.
I'll give you a little scoop later. Anyway, yeah, the WWE people are just like sight unseen. No, it can't possibly be as good. It's not WWE. It's like, oh, you unenlightened soul.
So it's not necessarily the WWE fan per se. It's just people who are unwilling to explore the possibility that there's something better.
Yeah, and I think the majority of WWE fans are like that. Like the company, just the way the company projects itself and has for years, they don't want you to think that anything else is out there or could ever be on the level of WWE. And again, as a business, no one is on the level. But as a product, which is all I really am interested in, guess what? You're You're Budweiser. I'm over here drinking craft IPA.
So, quick question, just to follow up. If tomorrow
Yes.
McMahon stepped down, Triple H took over,
I'd be very, very curious as to what is going to actually change.
would you say cautiously optimistic?
Cautiously optimistic is a good way to
Okay.
put it.
Alrighty.
There you go.
So, Jay's question for me. If you could play Alan at one board game at any time you see fit, knowing he can't win, which game would you choose to torture him at?
I was going to say, so it's just kind of a whenever you feel like poking the bear.
Yeah, I mean, Alan is a very talented board game player and has never...
He's going to Gen Con.
He's going Gen Con tomorrow.
Yep.
Gut reaction is Blood Rage,
Okay.
only because the level of frustration Alan has with that game is high. I'm trying to think of our stuff we played. Yeah, I think probably Blood Rage.
All right.
Because you can
So
spend a lot of time building something up in Blood Rage, and just the right counterplay can take it all away.
What you kind of need is like a little mini version of it so that you can just like at any moment just be like, Alan, Blood Rage! And just
Blood Rage!
Put the board down and like,
You have to play.
yep, go!
So, yeah.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
Jay, thank you very much for your questions. We definitely appreciate it. Now, we've got some... We're still kind of in that post-Comic-Con news
We're
drought.
still... Yeah, a little bit. What do you got?
So we've got some news.
All right, hit me up.
We've got some news. Okay, so first off, just kind of going with a lot of what we were talking about, it's been reported by numerous sources, Ric Flair's in bad shape.
Rick is in bad shape.
And
yes.
say what you will about WWE and whatnot, Ric Flair is...
Well, he transcends.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one really knows what it is.
I hear reports that say medically induced coma.
He's out of that.
Cancer.
That I don't know what that is. He went in over the weekend and it was supposed to be air quotes routine. Next thing you know, we're getting the thoughts and prayers tweets.
Yeah.
And
Thoughts and prayers tweets are never good.
I guess he was for a day or so in a medically induced coma, and then the news came out either late yesterday or it might have been today that he's out of surgery. He had surgery of some kind, and he's out of that and he's recovering.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
I don't know what the ailment was, but hopefully he recovers. Rick, I mean, 68, so
yeah.
As a wrestler, and especially Ric Flair, that's a hard 68.
Ric Flair is wrestling.
Yeah.
More so than any other wrestler has ever been.
He kind of wrote the book.
Both good and bad. He embraces both. He's a legend to be revered for the career he's had, but at the same time, he's also a cautionary tale for kind of how not to do certain things.
Well, Rick partied hard.
Yeah.
And he got divorced a lot. and he was very...
We're not saying he got divorced a lot, folks, but his lawyer eventually gave him a stamp card saying, fill this up.
Your next one's free.
Your 10th one is free.
Kinda. And he's not very good with money. So that's unfortunate, but you know what? That's his personal life, and that's like you said, cautionary. But when you think of pro wrestling, Ric Flair is like legend. So I'm not going to give him the eulogy right now, but
no.
Ric Flair is a legend, and I hope he pulls through because he's Ric Flair, man. What more can you say? His shoes cost more than your house.
Folks, just go on YouTube. Man. Watch Ric Flair promos.
Oh, you're
never
in for a treat.
boring.
Nope. And then you can watch. If you really want a mind trip, you can watch the Black. That wasn't Black Machismo at the time. He was just Jay Lethal, who used to be Black Machismo, who was Jay Lethal doing a Macho Man impersonation, and he was really good at it.
Yeah.
He had to stop doing that. So then he comes out one day and Flair's in the ring. This is in TNA, which is a garbage promotion, but whatever. They needed money. Flair needed money, which is why he went there.
Yeah.
So Flair's in the ring cutting a promo, and then here comes Jay Lethal in a suit, looking like all Ric Flair. he does the strut.
Yeah.
And then he cuts a promo on Flair doing the Flair voice. And if you close your eyes, you don't know who's talking. It's epic. It is epic.
I'm going to say this really quick. I think you're going to agree with two of them. You're not going to agree with the third. Top three promo cutters of all time professional wrestling. Ric Flair.
Okay.
Randy Savage. Mm-hmm. Ultimate Warrior.
You're adorable. No.
Just, that magic moment when the cocaine kicked in, he took you places. He took you on a journey.
Remember what you said about cautionary tales?
Yeah, no, I know.
The Rock is if those are, if you're going to have a top three, that's fine, but like The Rock is in a class of his own. He's kind of like chairman emeritus. Nobody could cut a promo like The Rock.
You'd put him above Ric Flair?
Yeah, actually.
Wow.
I love Rick, but The Rock is like when The Rock's on the mic, it's like you're in for a good time.
All right, so yeah, definitely hope Flair pulls through.
That's why he'll make a good president.
Maybe not. Oh, The Rock.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about Ric Flair.
No. Hey, Rick couldn't be worse.
Vice President.
I'm pulling for Austin. Rock Austin, 2020. I'm in.
Okay, so it was announced earlier this week that Robert Kirkman's Skybound Studios has signed a first-look deal with Amazon. Now, this is not an exclusive deal. A first-look deal is essentially Amazon has a deal with Robert Kirkman that anything he creates and wants to option for like a series or a movie, Amazon gets first crack at.
This is rather interesting because actually, hang on. Let's back up.
There's also like a sub-story to this, but we'll get to that.
Let's back up for real quick because this is kind of on the heels of Millar World getting bought out by Netflix.
Actually, you know what? Did you listen to Hollywood Babylon today?
Dude, everyone I know has ever called him Mark Millar.
Okay.
I'm sure I did.
If the man himself says it's Miller.
I think he's screwing with people. But
all right. Okay.
I don't know. What do I know? So the weird thing about Millar World is that, not weird, but Millar World is largely tied up in other studios, most of the material. Yeah. So, what did Netflix really get? And Mark Millar is going to keep writing new books, and, he does that. He's kind of an IP machine. Like I said, when you're just doing kind of, loose scripts and loose ideas, you can do that. Here's my pitch. 4 issues, go. Okay. That's underselling, but anyway, kind of the same deal in my opinion with this Skybound information or with Amazon, because Skybound doesn't produce a whole lot of content. There's Invincible, there's The Walking Dead, there's Outcast, which was
didn't that get Outcast is on Cinemax.
It's on Cinemax, right?
Yeah.
And I mean,
that's
kind of it. So,
this deal is more predicated around future potential than current, because it's a first look deal. So it's not for anything that's in existence now.
That's curious.
It's for anything that he may create. They get
first crack.
They get the first crack. Like, he can't shop it to anyone else. He has to shop it to Amazon first. And they can, if from what I understand how first look deals work, if they choose not to do it, he can shop it somewhere else, other places.
Sure. That's interesting. And I guess timing-wise, that's really interesting because Invincible's wrapping up in the next little while, much to my sadness. But I guess Kirkman's going to need to be doing some new work soon.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's not quite as prolific as Mark Millar. He's basically had his big 2 books for a long time, and that's really been it.
Well, and I don't know how Outcast is doing. It's still going, which I don't know. I read the first couple issues of the book, and it just kind of wasn't for me.
Yeah, likewise.
I mean, hold on, that first issue, because you never know.
Yeah.
Television show. He knows what works, and he does what works, and he does it well.
Definitely.
So I'll be interested to see, because it also came out this week that Robert Kirkman and AMC are not really buddy anymore.
No, he's
Their
suing
lawyers may be buddy, but they are not.
Yeah, he's one of the producers that is suing AMC for profits over The Walking Dead. AMC, despite producing very high quality content,
Yeah.
again, I will go on record and say it again. Breaking Bad's the greatest show I've ever watched in my life, and Better Call Saul is right there with it. I love them both dearly. Television. After watching that, there is no going back to like network TV. It's like New Japan,
Yeah.
WWE. It's kind of like that. But they are notoriously cheap. Cheap's the word. The second season of The Walking Dead, despite the first season being a smash hit, they cut the budget on it. Like, they operate under the kind of, do more with less.
That's actually commonplace across all networks.
See,
Cutting
usually
the
when you
budget on
have
a successful show.
when you have success, you want to give it more, not less. But hey, what do I know? So anyway, I guess there's some I don't know the legal details of it, but basically Kirkman and other producers are saying AMC shortchanged them significantly on profits from The Walking Dead.
And this is coming up just as I believe it's Frank Darabont.
Oh yeah, he's part of it too.
His suit is just about to wrap up. They haven't had a decision yet, but these are separate suits. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes down the pipe from Amazon and Netflix in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
as far as comic content. So yeah, there was that, and this week we remember a king. It's hard because there are few people in their respective fields where the term legend is not enough. This week would have been Jack Kirby's 100th birthday. I see that both Marvel and DC are celebrating with, variant covers and one-off books and things like that as well. They should. Jack Kirby, kids, if you didn't know,
you're about to know,
is just as responsible for the Marvel Universe in its infancy as Stan Lee was.
Yes.
I know some people who like to give him 100% of the credit.
No, Stan was the voice and the personality behind Marvel. But if you think about what you saw in Marvel Comics, Jack Kirby was responsible for it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's costume, Iron Man.
Spider-Man was Steve Ditko.
Yeah, hang on. You know what? You are correct.
Kirby
but
made some suggestions.
And the first issue cover was drawn.
Amazing or
Amazing
Fantasy?
Fantasy 15 was Jack Kirby cover.
Yeah.
Not Steve Ditko.
The criminal's face gives it away.
Yeah. When you see a Jack Kirby piece, you immediately know it's a Jack Kirby piece.
Yes.
We should run down the road. The X-Men. Fantastic Four, obviously.
Yeah. Co-creator of Captain America.
OG. Yes. An OG creator of Captain America. Stan Lee was not a co-creator of Captain America.
Yeah, it was Jack Kirby and Joe Simon.
That's correct. Thor. I mean, the list is long.
Yeah. And distinguished.
That's right. The Hulk. My God, the Hulk.
Yeah.
His art style was so unique and vivid and exciting. That's the key word. Kirby could put excitement into anything he drew. Like, it just flew off the page.
He created a visual language.
Yes.
That was... He is one of the few artists from the Silver Age. Yes. That if he was around today and decided to get back in comics, could still perform in comics. Because a lot of the artists from back then, like, if you go back and look at their work, and some of them have, like, done special one-off issues and things like that, they can't, like, I love John Romita.
Yeah.
Love John Romita. He's done some guest work on Spider-Man in the recent couple of years, and it's good.
Yeah.
But it's not up to modern standards. Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, There are few artists from that time who could still perform today, but Jack Kirby,
Just on his style. Even if he lost a step, you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
Because it's so unique and vibrant that it's like you said, it's a language unto itself. To the point where he was drawing so many books at Marvel in the 60s, when they got he invented the Marvel House style.
yeah,
Like Stan and the editors told other artists, draw it more like Jack. Like, because that's what Marvel became known for, was that style, that visual. Galactus, the Surfer, like
you could look at a machine and easily say, "Oh, that's a Kirby machine."
Or a
you could look
costume.
at energy,
Kirby dots,
and say that's Kirby energy.
yeah.
And like he left his stamp mostly on the cosmic.
Yeah, he got
Because not only did he do work with Marvel, he also did work with DC. He created
sure
the
did.
New Gods.
the new gods, Orion, Darkseid, Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, who is Mr. Miracle is a quintessential Kirby costume.
Yeah. The New Genesis, Apocalypse, all that. Commandy, the last boy. Which, I mean, granted, is DC just cashing in on Planet of the Apes fame at the time?
Maybe, but
still,
people revere that book though. A lot of people love that book. The cover is very iconic too.
And not for nothing.
Our favorite phrase in the show.
Yeah, it's not the hardest back issue to find.
No,
you can track down runs of Commandy fairly easily. Etrigan, the demon Etrigan, was Kirby. Gone, the form of man. Behold the demon Etrigan.
Black Racer, all those characters, cool visuals.
Let's not talk about the Black Racer.
I like the skis.
Nobody's perfect.
I like the skis.
Stop.
They're fun.
Nobody's perfect.
They're fun.
Nobody's perfect.
I like them. It's not a surfboard, but I'll take it.
Yes, folks. Jack Kirby's personification of death was a dude flying through the skies on skis, complete with the hand picks and whatnot.
I'll take it. I don't care.
Sure.
I'll take it. I don't care. Shut up. I love it.
What else? Like just
legendary, a titan, a king, if you will,
a king,
Jack the King Kirby.
But, and with artists from this time, 9 times out of 10, there is a but. Was not fairly compensated.
No, he was
his
not.
Work.
Most were not.
Yeah, and he passed away, I believe,
mid 90s.
Yeah, mid 90s, and was by no means living.
He's not
in the lap of luxury.
No, he doesn't have the modern Stan Lee money.
Yeah,
but few do. Had he lived, I think, to see this golden age we're in, I think he would have been compensated.
Oh yeah,
handsomely. But the business of comics was notoriously shady for a long, long time.
Was?
Yeah, well, it's better now.
As much as I love the characters of Marvel or DC, I will never agree with how those companies choose to do business.
It's better than it used to be, but that's...
Is it really, though?
It is.
Because...
It's better than it used to be.
Yes, they pay creators, but they also don't allow creators to create. When's the last time you saw like a new character really take off at either one of them?
Yeah, I know. It's a different time now, though.
You know what it was? You know what it probably was? Probably Harley Quinn. And she's celebrating her 25th
Deadpool
anniversary.
Deadpool. And that's they're older now, but again, different time. They're now owned by major corporations. I just don't see those corporations are all about the bottom line and new stuff. Knowing they're gonna have to compensate someone for that new stuff, they're gonna be a little less likely to cut that check or a little less likely to want the new stuff.
That's unfortunate.
So, it
so
is.
We just keep
But
modding the old stuff.
where I say that it's better now than it used to be, at least now there is options for creators to create their own stuff and get paid for it handsomely.
Look at you, Image Comics.
That's right. We are in the creator-owned era, man, and those are my favorite books every month. So Jack Kirby probably would have thrived in this environment. But alas, we'll never know.
So happy birthday to Jack the King Kirby. Would have been 100. His influence will never leave us.
No, his mark on comics is forever. Forever.
Yeah. All right. Oh. A quick news story I heard on one podcast I listened to. And this kind of goes along with things we've talked about prior on the show with comics as a medium that's, living. Comic sales were down 30% last month. Now, from what I understand, comic sales traditionally do dip during the summertime. Kids are out of school, they're outside, they're doing our stuff. There's that logic, but at the same time, that's a much larger dip than they're accustomed to.
Well, let's look at this. It's 2017. Kids play Minecraft. They don't necessarily read comics. And adults who read comics, let's be honest, the comic shop clientele is mostly adults.
Yeah.
We don't last forever.
The kids who were there who were brought in by the adults who used to be kids who...
Exactly. Yeah. We don't last forever. There's a shelf life on a human.
Yeah.
And there's a shelf life on how much you're going to put into your hobby as well.
Yep.
And everyone's got a breaking point, and I think between Marvel and DC, each company's been kind of daring each other to find out what that breaking point is.
Yeah.
Be it price increase, be it event fatigue, reboots, controversial stories, yada yada. It's been a rough year.
Yeah. I think the main problem that's hurting comic sales is that comics are no longer, and you alluded to this when you said they're not in the shops anymore. Comics are no longer where kids are.
No, but then I don't know where kids are.
How did we discover comics?
In my case,
Spinnerax.
Yes.
7-Eleven.
Corner store. Yep.
Grocery store.
Yep. Corner store.
Comics aren't there anymore. When kids, because it's simple. Mom has to run an errand. She brings the kid. Kid finds a comic.
Yep.
Goes from there. Mom buys, the kid one comic, and it starts from there. Comics need to be
visible,
and where kids are.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We've been saying people have been saying that for years.
Yeah,
I mean, I love comic shops to death.
Comic shops are great,
but in a way though, they're part of the problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's a double-edged sword.
It can be an intimidating environment if you're just trying to check it out for the first time. Certain shops can be welcoming.
Some aren't.
Some shops can be less than welcoming.
But again,
they identify that you're not initiated.
How do you know that you want to? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
It's not in your face. It's not. A kid can't just pick it up off the rack when he's at the gas station or whatever and put it down or buy it. He has to. It's a whole willing thing to go to the shop, to go into the shop, etc. So, yeah, you're right. Comics need to be visible.
Comics need to be where kids are.
Yes.
Just that and drop the price.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Back to newsprint. I don't need premium paper. I miss newsprint. You go back to newsprint, you could probably knock $1 off a comic minimum.
Radical idea. Follow me here.
Okay.
Remember when comics used to have newsstand edition and comic shop edition, usually demarcated by the barcode versus the Spider-Man head in the corner? Well, why don't we do that again? Except this time the newsstand edition is on newsprint, and the regular shop edition for people like me who like the premium paper and all that stuff can get it in the comic shop. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I mean, print costs are going to go up, I guess.
I think print costs will go down.
Some bean counter. Well,
if you're going to say, okay, we're going to take half our run.
Because now you're splitting inventory for the shot. You know what I mean? Like,
then you're creating demand.
Well,
you're creating demand among
it's a risk. It's a risk.
The collectors, and then meeting the needs of the casuals.
Yeah, but we don't know what that casual market is yet.
Well,
it doesn't really exist.
Got to take some growing pains to let it find itself again.
How many companies do you know that are going to invest in print media in 2017? Well, there you go. I mean, no, I hear you, man. It's. I will always read comics in a physical format. Digital to me just is not the answer. To me, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love the idea of a magical device that I can just read my comics on and not have to have 20 long boxes that I'm eventually going to have to do something with. But I just like having it in my hand. I like turning pages. I like looking at artwork printed on a page. There's something intimate about it. Same thing with music, man. Like, it's convenient as hell to stream music or to have it digitally on your phone. But when I sit down with like a record and I have the artwork in my hand and I'm like looking at it, and it just the tactile, just having it, I immediately somehow more invested in it. I can't explain it. I just am. I am engaging with this media.
Yeah.
More so than I would if it were just on a screen. You know?
I get what you're saying.
But that's me. To a younger generation, it's a whole different thing, and I can't speak for them. So, but I'm with you. Comics need to be where kids are, and prices need to come down because kids obviously aren't going to pay $5 a book.
Yeah.
So it would be nice. It would be nice.
You have to work within, the allowance.
Kids still get allowances, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking. I'm out of the loop, man. I don't know what's going on.
My kid will get an allowance. He's going to have to work for it.
There you go. Responsibility.
Not just going to get it. All right, folks. This is the last week before Defenders starts.
It is.
Defenders premieres this coming Friday.
Sure does.
So our next episode will be episode 1 of the Defenders. It's going to be interesting because this will be the first season we do kind of as it's coming out. So it should be, although we weren't too far behind with Luke Cage. But this is going to be fresh out of the oven. We're going to be getting Defenders. So that being said, we're going to have a retro comic review for you. Right now, we're going to discuss Kevin Smith's seminal run on Daredevil, the story arc Guardian Devil.
Seminal.
I think that's
for him. Yeah, I guess so. He completed this one.
That's true.
Unlike The Target. See our interview with Kevin Smith.
And for what it meant with the character and Marvel as a whole, with the whole Marvel Knights thing. But that being said, because this story spoils a lot of what they may be potentially going into at some point with a lot of the characters in the television show.
Yeah,
Matt, Karen, Foggy.
You're brave to want to review this on the show.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that may be happening in future episodes of the show. So, if you do not want that stuff spoiled for the show, if you don't read the comics and just enjoy the show, that's fine. But if you don't want any of that spoiled, we highly recommend...
We don't even know if they're going to do this stuff in the show.
Yeah, we don't know for sure. They better. It's freaking awesome.
Well, we'll see.
So we're just giving you fair warning.
Tread lightly, tread carefully, friends. If you don't want to hear about some potential developments that may or may not happen on Daredevil, the TV show, you've been warned. Come back next week. We'll talk Defenders. Yeah. So, having said that, Carl,
Spoilergate is closed.
There, you had your warning. So, shut it off now or forever hold your peace.
So,
Guardian Devil.
Before we dive into the book itself, let's do a little background on it. This was the first title in the the then Radical Concept Marvel Knights line. I think we've discussed this a couple times on before. Essentially, Joe Quesada was given a handful of characters from the Marvel bench and basically given free reign.
Yes, this was a dark time for Marvel.
Yeah,
and comics in general.
This is late 90s, early 2000s.
Late 90s specifically in this case. So let's take you back to the late 90s real quick. So late 90s, we had the comics boom, and then we had the very, very, very rapid bust. And it was bad. Bad stuff happened. Marvel and DC were in a bad way. Marvel especially was near bankruptcy.
The whole medium almost died out.
Yeah, it was dark. The comic shops themselves were closing up, and they were becoming Magic the Gathering stores, essentially.
Yeah.
That really bummed me out. So the 90s were kind of crazy. Now, Kevin Smith. A lot of people hear the name now, and they think, like, oh, that guy in the hockey jersey, or, he's not even that. He makes bad movies.
He makes movies for people who like his movies.
Yes.
And for himself, which is the most important.
If you're an artist, you got to please yourself first. And he's lucky enough to be able to do what he wants. And that, you may or may not like the result, but that's what he wants to do, and that's what he does. But he's also a really sweetheart of a guy. We know. In the 90s, though, he was really on the ascent to be Hollywood royalty.
Yeah.
Clerks was an indie hit. It's still a movie that's very near and dear to me.
He found a voice for a generation that didn't have a voice yet.
Exactly.
He was the John Hughes of his generation.
Yes. And so he was pegged along with Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez as like the new breed of filmmaker.
Yeah. And
those other guys kind of took a different path than Kevin Smith did, but Kevin Smith had Hollywood credibility in a big bad way. Clerks, like I said, indie hit, had buzz. Mallrats bombed, but then came Chasing Amy.
Yep.
And that got a lot of attention at the time, and it's weird now watching it because it's kind of didn't quite age as well, but at the time, I don't know, man. The late 90s were a different time, and we were really, as a society, movies didn't sound like that, and subjects like that weren't broached. And, he was a very edgy filmmaker.
Yep.
Had a lot of buzz. So getting him to write a comic book, the guy who clearly loved comics based on stuff you heard in Mallrats, especially Brody Bruce and whatnot, this guy came over to the medium and said, okay, I'm going to, Joe Quesada, asked, and Kevin Smith agreed to do it. And he was terrified to do it as well, because he didn't want to fail. So that and the shadow of Daredevil looms kind of large, because he's kind of a,
Not so much at this time, though. We're way past Miller.
But the thing is, that Miller casts a long shadow, man.
He does cast a long shadow, but at this time, if there's no character to cast the shadow, because Daredevil at this time is a low B-tier character.
Yeah.
You can almost argue high C-tier.
Sure.
Because, yes, he does have a series, but it's not...
No
one's paying attention.
No, it wasn't a blockbuster, but his following is very loyal.
Yeah.
See me, for instance.
Yeah.
I'll always love Daredevil. It's just one of those things that, like, it might not be selling 1 million copies, but that fan base really loves it. So it's and good work is done on it.
Yeah.
And he wanted to live up to that. And this was his first dalliance into comics, and it was a big get for Marvel. It put a lot of eyes on Marvel, and it put a lot of eyes on Daredevil, obviously. And like I said before, it was a smash hit. And it was a smash hit.
When they announced that, it was kind of a, cheers and then what announcement? Because then you hear Kevin Smith's coming to Marvel.
Yes.
And at the time, the question was going to be, is he going to write Spider-Man or X-Men?
Because those are
the only things that are like doing anything for Marvel at the point. It's like, no, he's going to write Daredevil. And that was what piqued a lot of interest, because it's not what you would expect to happen. But sure enough, we got the first Daredevil story I ever read. Of the Daredevil stories I've read, I would definitely put it in top 5. Just a really great story, and a story that not only shows how amazing. First off, how amazing of an artist Joe Quesada is.
Yeah.
The art in this book
that struck me
is
reading it again this week.
Top shelf.
And not only that,
premium good.
It's not just top shelf, but it's also to be honest with you, comics don't look like that anymore.
No, they don't.
They really don't.
They don't. I mean, especially
comics
like,
have changed a lot.
Like I know that your favorite run on Daredevil, the Bendis Malieve.
Yeah, those are that's my jam.
That's a great art style, and I really like what Ron Garney's been doing on Daredevil in his run.
See our interview with Ron Garney.
Yeah. I just really wish Daredevil looked like this again.
See, I like the darker, grittier style, but what I mean though overall, and I'm not just
this
Daredevil.
is like a polished dark.
Fair enough. I just think overall, not specific to Daredevil, comic books in general to me don't look like this anymore.
No.
You don't see the kind of, at least I don't, in the books I'm reading, I don't see page layouts done like this. I don't see contrast done like this.
Yeah.
I don't see Joe Quesada style stuff being done anymore. The medium's kind of gotten away from it. And I know every era has its kind of hallmarks, I guess, but like it was really refreshing in a way, good and bad. I mean, some of it doesn't age quite as well, but it just struck me like, wow, this looks so different than comics you see today. But you know what a lot of that is, believe it or not? A lot of it is coloring. Modern coloring is done in a much different way. And this book was kind of at a turning point in coloring. Computer coloring it started in the 90s, but it started to really take hold around this time to get us where we are today. Modern coloring definitely has a way of changing the way comic books look, and it more so than a pencil style or an ink style. Colors have really affected how things are done. But like I said, page layouts and stuff, though, you don't see this kind of stuff done anymore.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Coming from someone who hadn't read Daredevil previously before reading this, it's very new reader friendly without pandering to a new reader.
It is.
You get the feel of this character's world and the beats of this world and some of this character's history without back in the when a character needed, like, how many times did Spider-Man go over the origin of Venom in his head?
Yeah.
Whenever he would show up.
Well, in the
just
80s,
in case someone didn't know.
In the 70s and the 80s, Stan would always say every comic is someone's first comic.
Which is true.
At the time, yes.
And this is their way of doing it better.
Yes.
Because, I didn't know a ton of Daredevil's history, and this gave me a lot of his history without
beating you over the head with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was more implied, and you could figure it out based on what was presented to you. Yeah. I will also say, reading this, I have critiques, but I'm just talking overall.
No story's perfect.
No. I'm just talking in general right now, overall, comics today versus comics back then. This should be no surprise to being a Kevin Smith comic. Lots of words.
Very wordy.
If you think Bendis,
it's not Claremont wordy.
No, but there's just a lot of thought, not thought balloons, but narration boxes. Lots of that. Letters.
But like a lot of Kevin Smith's dialogue, it flows really well.
It does. Some of it better than others.
I'm never getting bored reading this because of
No, definitely not. But I find a lot of modern comics they're sparse with words. Actually, it's usually dialogue only, not a lot of narration. You rarely, if ever, see thought balloons anymore. But this had just a lot of words, very wordy. But again, Kevin Smith, the man can spin a yarn. So story-wise, where do you want to start with this? Because there's so much here. This was a 12-issue arc? Feels... No, I don't think so. It looks more like to be 6 to 10 at the most.
1 through 8.
There you go.
8 issues.
See? Right in the middle there. Well, what is the story, Carl? I mean, you want to just do some general overview, and then we can
overview of the story is that Matt is he's at one of those so many crossroads he comes to. He's kind of in a dark place where his faith is kind of rattled, and he's not quite sure what he's doing anymore. His Nelson and Murdoch is running.
Yep.
And running well from everything I can tell.
Yep.
All of a sudden, randomly, this woman shows up and dumps a baby on his doorstep.
She does. And Matt's also lamenting that he is no longer with Karen.
Yes. Karen is gone.
She's gone.
Out of the picture. The baby is... The way the woman is talking about the baby is that there's something supernatural about this child.
Allegedly a virgin birth.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So that's pretty much the first issue in a nutshell. Second issue, we have a very familiar face to the Marvel Cinematic Universe fans. Black Widow shows up.
Black Widow does show up, and we get, again, the backstory with her and Matt, because, like we've said, Matt's been around the block a few times.
Yes. Black Widow and Matt have had a relationship. I believe that was established in Frank Miller's run. So Black Widow thinks this is essentially just a booty call.
Yep.
But Matt just wants her to watch the baby while he goes and investigates.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some light Kevin Smithisms in some of this. We'll carry on with the overall story overview. Then I'll get into my kind of more specific takes on certain things. Basically, the story is about Matt investigating this baby.
Yeah.
And why is it so important? And why are now? Because then that old guy comes to see him in his office and says, "I know you are in possession of a child," implicating that he knows that he's Daredevil.
Yeah.
And you're going to give us the baby. The baby is...
It's in your interest.
It's in your interest to give us the baby. The baby is basically the harbinger of doom.
The Antichrist.
Yes.
They say he's literally the Antichrist.
Now, Matt, being a man of faith, buys this, or at least contemplates it. But it's not totally his fault, because he was drugged into hallucinating.
Yes.
That this could be a real Antichrist child. To the point where he spends a whole issue fighting Black Widow. Violently.
Not so much a whole issue. There's definitely a confrontation on a rooftop because Matt is hallucinating and his perception is so skewed to a point where he starts to believe the baby is the Antichrist and seeks to kill it, so he drops it off a roof.
The thing is, though, you don't know that Matt has been drugged when this is all going on, so I guess I'm getting right into some of my critiques. Man, that issue was hard to read. I'm like, why is Matt acting insane?
Which it was at 2 or 3?
Whichever one where he's like thinking that he has to kill the baby, and then he fights the Black Widow over it when she realizes that he's a lunatic.
Her ankle.
Yeah, that whole issue was like, whoa, wait a minute. There better be an explanation for this.
Yeah.
And then there was. So
we have in the next issue, we have a really fantastic scene with Doctor Strange.
We do. And Doctor Strange sets him right. So there's nothing supernatural about this child. Well, but he also summons Dormammu.
No,
I'm sorry, Mephisto. Your buddy Mephisto. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's just a lot going on. There's this whole sacred order thing that is investigating the child. Matt's trying to poke into them. Matt ends up getting kind of jacked up, and he ends up in the company of his mother.
Yeah.
Spoilers. We said spoilers, right?
We did say spoilers.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Matt's mom, when she left old Battling Jack...
Yep.
She joined the convent.
She went to the nunnery.
So Matt ends up there, and he has to kind of regain his faith a little bit.
In the meantime, the old gentleman who first approached Matt has hired himself someone to procure the child. That being none other than Matt's arch
nemesis.
Arch nemesis B. We've discussed this before. We kind of put Kingpin 1 and
1A and 1B.
1A.
Yeah, 1 and 1A, really. Bullseye.
Yeah, Bullseye gets hired.
Bullseye is hired to, reclaim the child.
Yes.
Then we get the whole Doctor Strange thing with Mephisto. And
just what you think, just in an ultimate example of when it rains, it pours, Karen shows back up.
Karen re-enters Matt's life in the midst of all this.
Yes.
And she is bearing some bad news.
Yes, she has AIDS.
Again,
so folks,
90s.
Remember some of the things we've kind of skirted around when we were talking about Karen's background in the television show? Karen was a porn star.
Not at
among
first.
Among other things.
Hang on, back up, because people are going to hear that and go like, wait a minute. She was with Nelson and Murdoch. She kind of fell on some hard times where she got into drugs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Left Matt, left New York City, went west, got into the adult film biz, and in the midst of that, cleaned herself up.
Yep.
And, well, actually, let me think.
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, didn't that rear its head in Born Again?
Yes, because she sold Matt to Fisk.
That's right.
She told Fisk who Daredevil is.
That's right. That was way back when.
Yeah.
This is later, and apparently Karen had a successful career as a radio host.
Yeah.
In California.
Yep.
Here she comes back to Matt and reveals that she has AIDS. How Matt's first instinct was, I got to go get checked out, I don't know. But that never seems to come up in this story, really.
Yeah.
That was what I'm thinking. Like, dude, Matt, go forget Doctor Strange. Go see Reed or something.
Oh,
get a blood test, buddy.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Air quotes.
So Matt's dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that same Sacred Order goes to see Karen and says, go get the baby for Matt. Remember?
Yeah. And then we've got the guy, the huge guy.
He's
got jacked up face,
to be an angel.
Claims to be an angel.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is...
Here's what's interesting.
Like, after you finish the story and you go back and look at it again, you really see the genius of how Kevin Smith was setting up the reveal at the end.
Which we're going to get to.
He's poking at all of Matt's weak points. Faith, Karen, insecurity.
Now, here's something fascinating. I don't know if these two things are related or not. This story came out in 1990. It started in 98.
Yes.
And it went till about 99, 2000-ish. Dogma came out in 99. Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely kind of...
Given the theme...
You look at this and you look at Dogma, you could see kind of where Smith was in his creative life.
Very interesting. Both very reflective on Catholic upbringing.
Because he's had strict Catholic upbringing, so...
I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, it's definitely a point to be made.
So basically what Matt uncovers is that there's someone behind all of this. The kid is not the Antichrist. Matt has been drugged. This Sacred Order guy is in on it.
Yeah.
What's going on? What is happening?
And I think we reach the pinnacle of when the roller coaster is going up the track, right before the deep plunge in the church.
When he fights Bullseye.
Fights Bullseye. And in the process of the fight, Bullseye kills Karen.
There's your big spoiler, folks. Yeah. Karen is killed by Bullseye.
Yep.
And I know this is comics and everyone comes back. This was written in...
Girlfriends tend not to come back unless they were heroes themselves.
Yeah, you can Google women in refrigerators, folks. It's a thing. So Karen's dead, and she's remained dead.
Yeah, which is as it should be.
Yes, especially given as a reader of Daredevil after this, it basically informs everything that happens after this.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Just in the same way that the death of Gwen Stacy affected Spider-Man.
Yeah, Matt's life after this doesn't get better, and things go really crazy really quickly. And it's not just... Let's finish the recap, and then I'll kind of address some of my concerns about this book.
Yeah.
So, kills her, but Matt's incapacitated, and he's been shot. Bullseye shot him through the shoulder. So Matt can't go after him in the moment.
Yeah.
Bullseye gets away with the baby, and Matt has to go find him, find the baby. Now, Matt's obviously going through basically hell. His love of his life, essentially, is dead.
Yeah. You see lots
of flashbacks.
The funeral for Karen. He can't even speak.
That's a great scene, by the way, and I think that scene is carried extremely well just by the artwork.
Yeah.
Where is it? It's actually after the fight.
I think now
It
think
is.
about it.
It's later on. But yeah, Quesada's artwork in that funeral scene
just
is
perfect.
spot on. Matt's face is just, it sells everything, really.
Yeah.
But in the immediate aftermath of Karen's death, Matt has to go and solve the mystery and find out who's been screwing with his life. And our old buddy Turk is kind of the key to it all.
Your buddy, not mine.
He interrogates Turk and says, "You know something about a baby and an order and yada yada." And Turk kind of reveals that people have been asking about Matt and about Daredevil, and well, Turk doesn't know Daredevil's Matt, but Matt puts it together and figures out where he's got to go.
Because he knows all comes back to the old guy who wanted the baby in the first place.
Exactly. So Matt shows up, and suddenly it's a battle between Matt and the Hand. What?
But we're
no.
Yeah. Rest assured, right away. In a amazing. It's a piece of dialogue that always stuck out to me. Like Matt's thinking to himself, "If it really was the Hand, I never would have heard them coming."
Right. He hears them all, and he notices they all smell of cheap liquor and cheaper drugs, and so they're hired goons.
Yeah.
But someone knows Matt fights the Hand.
Yes. Then the angel shows up again.
Then the angel shows up again, and he's still spouting off biblical nonsense.
Yeah.
While they're fighting some of these goons, right? More goons, and
goons.
Matt realizes this guy's full of it too.
Yeah.
Knocks him out.
He's got like also circuitry and whatnot.
It's a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
Man in suit.
Yep.
Godzilla style. Then we find out who was really behind it all.
And this...
I'm going to leave this to you, I think.
Because you know my affection for this character.
I do.
Kevin Smith in this story not only elevated a hero from B-class status, he also elevated a villain from A-class status.
From B-class status.
Or from B-class status. Probably C-class status.
And not only did he do that, but he also worked that into the story.
Yes, he did it in an amazing way. The guy behind all of this is none other than Spider-Man villain Mysterio.
Not Rey Mysterio.
Fishbowl head. Oh, when I first saw this, I flipped out.
Did you not know?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I flipped when I picked up the trade. I flipped through the first couple pages. I was like, all right, this is enough. I've heard great things about this. Oh my God, this is so awesome because not only was this like a villainous plot to destroy a hero, it was so much more than that. It was in a way Mysterio's own way of justifying his life, because we find out that, for those of you who know, Mysterio always shows up in a cloud of smoke because he's mysterious.
Hence the name.
The smoke is used to conceal his illusions or aid in projecting them, and it also has the property of dissolving Spider-Man's webbing, most times depicted almost instantaneously. So Mysterio is mostly always been a Spider-Man villain. He's kind of fallen on hard times.
He's going to die.
He's in jail, and he finds out that he has cancer. This mist that he has used has given him cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets out of jail and vows to do something to kind of justify his life. At the same time, going on in the Spider-Man universe,
yes.
we are in the aftermath of the Clone Saga. So the current Spider-Man swinging around New York City right now is not the Peter Parker we've known and loved. It's Ben Reilly, the clone. Mysterio kind of eyeballs this.
Yeah.
He notices that this is not the Spider-Man he has fought for so many years, but he still wants to do something to justify himself. Then he remembers Daredevil.
Well, he picks Daredevil out because Daredevil is kind of a B-lister.
Yeah, like he views himself on the same level of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Wilson Fisk, who himself has fallen on hard times, does not have the power he once had, and Mysterio can buy himself a meeting for considerably less than it used to be in the past. And Mysterio says he wants to defeat Daredevil by driving him crazy. And that was something that appealed to Fisk, so Fisk gave Mysterio everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, cue the plot, villain monologuing,
The hallucinations,
the
drugging.
everything. So they get to a room where the baby is, and let's see.
The baby has 20 minutes to live.
20 minutes to live. He's in like a case or something, but
Yeah.
Matt peeks that, knows it's not true. He takes the baby out of the case and turns around to find Mysterio pointing a gun at him. Matt already knows that there are no bullets in that gun that are going to be coming his way. Mysterio flips the gun around and blows his own head off.
Yep.
So we think.
Oh,
Mysterio came back later.
Okay.
Well, I mean, of all the comic deaths and whatnot, this one probably everything's illusion with Mysterio.
True.
So, do I think it probably would have been better had they just let this be the end of the character? Probably.
Yeah.
Same way with Craven, who got better.
They all do.
Yeah. So, Matt rescues the baby. Mysterio has killed himself.
We get Karen's funeral.
Then
we have Spidey.
Yeah.
And
Spidey
Matt.
shows up and just kind of like he needs to find out what happens to Mysterio. He needs to kind of close that book. And Matt's like at a point where he's ready to kind of give up.
Yes.
Just kind of quit. And Spider-Man just says, at the end of the day, you saved that baby.
Yeah. It's not pointless.
That's something.
Yes, you did
and
good.
Daredevil's like, no, that's everything.
Sure.
So there are a couple things here we kind of omitted just for time purposes. The whole C plot with Foggy and
yeah, I didn't like that. Now,
yeah.
Let me get into some critique. So let me get the good stuff out of the way. It's a great story, well done, well told, and it put Daredevil back on the map. It put Marvel back on the map. My kind of quirks with it are the Foggy subplot I didn't care for because apparently he cheats on his squeeze with someone.
Yeah, Foggy was actually dating Liz Allen at the time.
Yeah.
This is very heavily Spider-Man influenced stuff because Liz Allen was the ex-wife of Harry Osborn.
These intertwining elements
who was
here.
the son of Norman Osborn, both of which were the Green Goblin. Liz Allen, also a high school girlfriend of Flash Thompson.
Look at this.
A bullying jock.
Would you
not?
Oh, stop.
What he is depicted as in Homecoming.
Modern interpretation, man.
He's not a smarmy rich kid.
That's a modern bully. So I feel like the elements I don't care for, really, the treatment of Karen, I don't care for. Now, Kevin Smith does a great job of establishing their relationship and establishing Karen's arc, kind of her redemption arc in a way.
Yeah.
But she's really just here to be fodder for Matt. I don't know, does the story lose something if she doesn't die? It again, like I said, they really, to great effect, let this influence the next 10 years of Daredevil's character and story arcs in the comics. But Karen, again, first she gets AIDS, then she dies. That's what she's there for, kind of.
You think
that's just a little...
You could have had other better stories to tell of her living with the condition and them trying to have a relationship.
She never even had it. It was Mysterio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
But we don't know that until the end.
Yeah.
So as a reader, it's like, God, you bring her back, she has AIDS, and then you kill her. I mean, talk about kind of harsh, right? So I feel like the treatment of Karen is a little harsh in this book. Again, Google women in refrigerators, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. And just some of the dialogue is very a little on the nose here and there. Those are ultimately my only real critiques with it. Just they're kind of their time. They're very 90s critiques, I would say. A not very fleshed out female character that is only there to die in service of furthering the hero story. And some of the dialogue gets a little 90s-esque cringe.
I think if you take the story just like as it's on its own,
yes,
and don't if you're like, see, this is where our perspectives differ. You having read Daredevil leading up to this, being my first Daredevil story, I think if you know the history of Matt and Karen, her death is much more poignant.
It is.
I mean, I still recognize the poignancy of her death in this story, even though it's my first Daredevil story, because having come from Spider-Man, understanding that kind of relationship that a character can have, her death was still, to me, it fit within the structure of the story.
It does, but I mean,
like, it's almost like, if you think about it, in the situation that she was in church, if Bullseye is who he's built up to be, and no one dies in that encounter, then you've kind of stripped everything you've given Bullseye as a threat.
It was kind of accidental, though, as he says.
Yeah, like she jumped in front of...
And as he says, oh, I missed. Totally cold-hearted, by the way,
yeah.
for Bullseye. I do like the way Kevin Smith writes Bullseye. He's cold-hearted and calculated, and it's pretty spot on. Yeah, it's good stuff. And then one other complaint, I promised, and I'm done. They talk for a long time.
Well, it's a classic villain monologue, man.
He monologues, man.
You've got... I mean, I've got no problem with that.
I guess. But I have that whole Austin Powers scene in my head where Scott's just like...
I've got a gun.
What, are you feeding him? Just kill him. I got a gun in my room. We'll shoot him together. It'll be fun.
I've got no problem with it. It's classic villain monologuing.
All right, that's fair. But no, it's a great story, though. The artwork is fantastic. What a team. I'd love to see these guys kind of maybe rekindle it someday on a miniseries or something like that. And like I said, it put Daredevil and Marvel back on the map. It really saved Marvel's behind in a lot of ways. The mainstream attention and the sales of this book kind of got the ball rolling. It definitely got the ball rolling for Joe Quesada. Gave him a whole lot more clout to do more stuff. And that whole Marvel Knights line, dude, like, that was outselling everything else Marvel was doing at the time. Not named X-Men.
Or Spider-Man.
Might even been doing...
Actually, no, Spider-Man was...
It was even outselling Spider-Man. That was post-Clone Saga. Things were a little murky. So Marvel Knights was really like a successful brand. And eventually, like kind of like the Ultimate line, the elements of that bled into the regular Marvel Universe to the point where the line itself didn't make sense anymore. So they just kind of, but saved Marvel. And Kevin Smith's comic book writing career, on top of his Hollywood career, was born. And here we are. And Daredevil, as we know him...
His run come before his run on Green Arrow?
I think so, yes. Yeah. This was his first dalliance into comics.
Did you ever read his Green Arrow run?
I did not.
It's really good.
Okay. And he had to bring him back from the dead, didn't he?
Yep.
That's a tough task. We have the Daredevil TV show today because this run put Daredevil back on the map.
Yes.
And then the Marvel Knights series with Bendis and Malieve and David Mack. I should recognize him too. And then Brubaker and Michael Lark as well, post Bendis, have kept Daredevil on the map.
And there's even a lot of Daredevil iconography in the film from this.
Oh yeah. Well, Daredevil, there is, because it was a very hot run.
Crouching by the Cross,
all that stuff.
The shot at the end,
sure.
Which, not for nothing, almost makes the entire movie worth it.
Kind of. I own the statue.
You do. The fact that it's tucked away somewhere in the
know,
box is criminal,
I know.
Criminal.
I got to get it out of the box. I know it's gorgeous. It's a Joe Quesada statue.
Yeah.
Based on a cover from this book or
Yeah.
from this arc. I love it. It's gorgeous. I love it to death. I love Daredevil. This is a great Daredevil story. Check it out, and if you do like it, I would recommend just stick with this volume of Daredevil. Ride it right through the Bendis run, right through the Brubaker run. You might want to pump the brakes once the Andy Diggle run comes in, but it's okay. It gets better. But this was the start of a Daredevil renaissance that we are very grateful for, because it got us to the show, which got you to this podcast.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, that being said, folks, thank you for indulging us. I know we started kind of heavy on the show, but some stuff needed to be said. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening to us and coming back to us each week. Please, by all means, tell your friends about the show, tweet about the show, share our new episode posts. If you'd like to send us any questions, comments, suggestions, etc., you can reach us at Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to Facebook.com/Devils Do Pod. You can go to the devilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Any parting thoughts?
Like you said earlier, be excellent to each other.
Yes.
Please. Please. Thank you.
Yes. So, Heather, in your memory, Porky.